Hi everyone, welcome into this week's My Weekly CBS Fix. Hope you had a great week. This week's video is dedicated as a refuah shlema for Shlomo Matcha ben Ruchel and Chuma bas Chai Rivka. Also, Le'ila Nishmas Rabbi Wallerstein, Zachariah Shimon ben Rabbi Yitzchak HaKoyin, Sheva Lichtig Gan Eden. In this week's parsha, the Torah tells us, Kedoshim Tiyu, we have to be holy. And Raje tells us it means we have to separate ourselves. And the Torah is admonishing us that we have to separate ourselves from the rest of the nations of the world, as Hashem has decreed. And the first verse of this week's Haftarah, the prophet Amos is telling us that if we don't separate ourselves from the nations of the world, we're no different than them and don't think that we're especially privileged. Now, we know that in general, there was three ways that the Jewish people went out of Egypt. They went out for three reasons, because they didn't change their names, their language, and their clothing. They always stuck out like a sore thumb. Everybody was able to tell, there's the Jew. But the prophet Amos is telling us also in this week's parsha, in this week's Haftarah, that there's another way that a Jew must stick out. And the way the Jew must stick out is up here in his mind. That means Hashem says that even though we're going to be exiled amongst the nations of the world, the only ones that will go lost are the wicked ones. They will go through the holes of the sieve, as it were, and they will go lost, whereas the pure ones, the tzaddikim, the righteous ones, will remain. Now, how do you remain righteous, and who are these wicked ones? So it tells us over in the Haftarah that the wicked ones are those people that say anything that happens is just happenstance, just by chance, it's just coincidence. And we have to realize that in order for us to be labeled as a Jew, you want to be a true Jew, you have to say that everything happens only because of Hashem. Everything happens because of Hashem. The weather, the news, who becomes president, people are hungry, people aren't hungry, people have a lot of money, people are poor. Everything happens by Hashem except for your own free will, which is a different subject. You have the ability to choose what you want to do, but the results of everything that happened are all because of Hashem. If you don't believe it like that, you are what the prophet Amos calls a rasha, a wicked person. And when Moshiach comes, as the Haftarah continues to talk about, that's when everything will be restored. That's when we'll say, Harachaman hu yakim lanu sukkahs David hanafalas. Hashem will reestablish the fallen sukkah of David. What is the fallen sukkah? The fallen sukkah represents the Jewish people that have collapsed. We've collapsed. Why have we collapsed? Because we used to stand for this thing. We used to know that everything was governed by Hashem. And we're losing that. And we're in this exile for a long time. And the longer this exile goes on, the more and more we're losing people to this thought. Not only they're not looking different and speaking differently and keeping the Jewish names, but we're also losing it in here. And a person's mind is in a certain sense even more important. So we have to strengthen ourselves. We have to do our resolve to help Moshiach come, and that's how we'll have a part in Moshiach coming. But one of the ways to do that is to realize and to say, I fully believe that everything that happens comes from Hashem. That is the sign of a Jew, that is a mark of a Jew. Otherwise, we're no better than the rest. So do your part. I'll do my part. We'll all do our part, and that'll be our share in helping bring Moshiach come. May you merit to see him speedily in our days, and may we merit to see Tchias HaMesim, the revival of all the dead. We'll see them once again. It'll be a great, great simcha. Thank you for listening. Have a wonderful Shabbos.